It's 3 o'clock, and I'll call the meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, March 12th, 3 p.m. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. Please note that this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne Television. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge such at this time.
Mr. Chairman, Michael Roush with the Bourne Enterprise on audio recording.
Thank you, sir. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the following conference line: 1-929-205-6099. The meeting ID is 830-4338-6922, and the password is STATION, all capital letters. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes by the South Side Fire Station Building Committee. First meeting order of business is to call meeting to order, and you have attendance?
I do.
Okay, very good. So, number 3, the site selection discussion, and we have three items here to discuss. The first is to remove approximately 3 acres of land from Article 97 protection just north of the baseball field on Shore Road. Do we have any specific information on that?
Yes.
Process or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I want to just briefly explain what this could entail if the board wants to, if the committee wants to move forward with this option. This land is protected under Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution, and it is under the protection of EOEA, which is the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs. In order for this land to be available for use, there's a number of steps that we would have to go through. Some of them are local and some of them are at the state level. There needs to be a unanimous vote of the Conservation Commission in support. There needs to be a 2/3 vote at town meeting to file special legislation at the State House. Once the legislation is filed, both chambers would have to also vote by a supermajority, 2/3, to remove the property. The Executive Office of Environmental Affairs has a list of criteria and conditions that we would have to meet. The most significant being that we would have to find other land to protect. So let's say that we wanted to use 3 acres of this property. We would have to find 3 acres of other property of equal or more significant environmental value. So the land, if we wanted to shift it onto mitigation land, that land would have to have at least equal or higher environmental value that we would be protecting. The EOEA requires, there's a whole list of requirements, including appraisals and surveys and analysis done of its of the land's environmental value. If this is something that the committee wants to pursue, my recommendation is that we should pursue our local votes first, meaning that we start with the Conservation Commission and then town meeting. And if the Conservation Commission unanimously approves, and if we receive a 2/3 vote for town meeting, then we put together the package that would be sent up to the state. The special legislation would be filed, and concurrently, all of the analysis would be done with EOEA. So that by the time the bill is ready to be acted on at the state, EOEA has the information that they need to make a recommendation. But it's a laborious process, and there's a number of steps and requirements. So that's the process in a nutshell, to remove property from Article 97 protection.
Okay. And we have approximately 3 acres available. We have,
So the site is large, I would recommend that, if this site is used for fire station purposes, that we look at approximately, 3 to 4 acres directly north of the existing ball field. There's approximately 5 plus or minus acres north of the ball field, and then there's a large uninterrupted block of land south of the ball field. I don't recommend looking at, breaking up that large block of habitat. That the small piece north of the ball fields would still give us enough land, but it wouldn't segment the larger block of habitat.
okay, and this is on the same side as the ball field.
It's the property I would recommend you using would be like right next to the ball field, to the
Right,
north.
right. Okay,
Yes, right next to it.
okay. Any, Chief, your opinion?
From a response time standpoint, it's good. I mean, obviously, I would like to find other land before having to move into this protected area, but we've been at this for 6 years now.
Right.
I think I can say between the several different committees we've had, we've exhausted every option out there. Unless something else comes up, I really don't think we have many options.
Okay, so just for the purpose of reviewing some general knowledge, I know that this is being recorded, so that people understand a little bit. Can you give us a quick overview, especially the number of calls, ambulance calls, in this area of the town?
Yep, so, again, when it comes to call volume, it's pretty much split right down the canal, on the south side and the north side. We'll exclude South Sagamore for this purpose of the south side. About just under 50% of all emergency calls in town, both fire and medical, are occurring on the south side in the Bourne Village, Monument Beach, Pecasset, Catomet areas.
Right.
So, the majority of those out of that, almost 50%, just about 35% are happening in Pocasset and Monument Beach.
35%?
About, yes.
35?
Of that 50, yes, of the south side. If we take the
Okay.
50, so yes.
Okay,
So we have, that area, so about the Pocasset station, as we move further south, when we picked the perimeters of the RFP, we left Barlow's Landing as the southernmost point, because what that does is, once we start moving south of Barlow's Landing, we move into one of the slowest districts in town.
Right.
Again, getting into the Catomet area, I'm not saying it's any less important, but strictly call volume.
yeah. And How have you found the response time out of the Monument Beach location up until now?
We've been monitoring it. I mean, it's good. I mean, it meets, I'd have to pull the specific NFPA standards out to see what percentage we're making. But it's good. It's, even the members who were working there feel that they're getting the majority of the calls quicker than they were from the Barlow's Landing Road station.
Right. If my math is correct, just so that we put it on an even scale, I know you're saying 50%. If we look at 100% of the calls on this side, 70% live in that area.
Yes.
I'm just doubling the numbers.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's a big number to understand, that 70% of our calls are in that,
Of the south side?
Yes.
Yeah, of the south
yes,
side, correct.
in that district, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any questions,
Just
or
one,
opinion?
one I'd like to ask to Marlene. You mentioned two parcels of land right there. One's 5.5 acres and then the larger section. Is the 5.5 what you're talking about for the proposed station or another section?
So it's one parcel, it's not subdivided. So there's one big piece of land, and there's the ball field
Correct.
built where the ball field's built. And then the conservation land wraps all the way around the ball field. I would recommend that the station, if the station goes here, it be built north of the ball field.
All right.
Would we be sharing that road that enters the ball field on the north side, our driveway?
All of that would have to be
Worked out.
looked at by your design team.
Okay. Any comments? I have some interest in this. but-
What's the time frame that we're looking at for something like that?
So the legislation would be the longest piece, which, you know, if we keep the pressure on our delegation, it can happen, it can happen at any point in the session. So once we're ready with our mitigation land, once we found our mitigation land. So, I mean, it could be, by the time we file the legislation, it could be, 3 months, or it could be 2 years.
But the key factor is the mitigation land that we have to find first, correct?
We would have to find mitigation land.
What about the Pocasset Fire Station, if that was torn down, how many acres is that, or is that maybe an acre? If you made that conservation?
Has no conservation value.
Oh, okay.
Now, excuse me, Mr. Chair, when we did the DPW, we had to come up with the same process, not with the legislation, but for the amount of land we use, we had to buy a section of land to put in for the turtles. I wonder if there's any more land up there that we could do it. It's right around the corner from the school in the DPW, further up that, we got away pretty cheap. It's something we could, look into.
There are a number of pieces that have potential as mitigation land that the conservation agent is aware of, that we
Okay.
could, if we go down this, we could investigate doing that analysis.
At what point in the process do we have to have the mitigation land available? When we actually make the transfer?
The mitigation land we have to have the mitigation land available before EOEA will essentially sign off
Okay.
before the legislature votes.
Okay.
The legislature will want their recommendation, will want their sign off before taking it up.
Carol is calling in. Is she on the phone? Is she trying to? All right. I don't see any hands up. All right. Any other,
Question, this mitigation land, does it have to be one parcel, or is it can be multiple smaller parcels?
Those are things that, depending on their value, we would have to look at.
Okay.
I like the idea of this location. I'm not trying to subvert the next conversation either. I like this idea because I think that we have a more free-flowing ability to design the building versus if we tried to go back to bylaws, we'd be very constricted by the shape of the current parcel, and that could change it. I think that we're gonna have some community input in either location relative to recreational facilities. If we go up here, then we have to find another parcel of land to replace the recreational facilities, as well as the additional cost, so we'd be paying twice for that. If we don't have to do that phase of it, that's one thing that would be a positive. And I think that I want to focus, though, on what you said, Chief, is that 70% of our calls for service are in that district. So I think
70% of the south side calls.
Yes.
Yes. I just want to make sure that no one.
That's an important piece.
70% of the south side calls
Yes.
are in that district. And if we can locate the facility more in the center of it, I think that's certainly better for response and service to all of our community members.
I agree.
Yep.
No.
The other thing, I'm just trying to think about the bylaws land. In your prior presentation, Chief, you had mentioned that in the event of a flooded area, the problem is you'd still have to drive out into the flooded roads, which would be a problem even if we put it over there, even if we could move it back, correct?
Yes, I mean, I can talk a little bit about that. We also have the architect here who studied that, but yes, the way we understood it was, it is a flood zone, and even if we were to situate that station further back on the lot of land, the station may stay dry, but in the case of a flood, we would be having to drive either way through flooded areas.
Peter?
So, in a perfect world, you put the new building, you site the new building where it is. Would the baseball field not be affected at all, or will there have to be some alteration to the ball field?
On Shore Road?
Yes.
No, there's plenty of space to build the station without touching the ball field on Shore Road.
All right, so that's what we need to sell it as, because if we were gonna take a baseball field offline,
Yeah, no.
I mean, it'd be crazy, and it's not fair for those kids that are doing that. So this way, if it's sited, where it's sited, it will have safe internal circulation and flow throughout, for the rear and the front of the property. This probably is the best place to go. Plus, it would be nice to have the firefighters over there, they could be cheering on the kids while they're there when in their downtime, so. I mean, I think overall, for the call volume, but also just for the needs of the community on that side, the bridge, that site is the best site. It's gonna be some pain and anguish along the way to get through town meeting, to get, and then going up to Boston and try to get through their requirements. But however, next month, I think it's the 30th of April, we will have our elected and appointed delegation from our state and federal or their representatives in before the select board. So it would be a perfect time to put, to say, hey, we're doing, most likely contingent on town meeting approval, we're doing, in conservation, we're doing this. So it's on their landscape, and they hear it, that it's something, that something needs to be done, and if we can try to streamline it and get it going sooner than later, because the longer we wait, the more expensive it is. And then if it doesn't work out, then we're back to square one. So I think we have a perfect opportunity to try to advocate for this at that April 30th meeting. And I think not only the select board, but I think members of this board should be in the audience to let them know how important this is.
I think as a community-minded input, the chief might want to put some outside restrooms on the new station for the ball field. And that will help us sell it to the community.
No more bathhouses over there.
All right, any other comments? Was there a comment from the audience? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question. First of all, my name is Bill Masiello. I moved into town in.
Come up with a TV.
Would you like to
Yeah, sure.
step up, sir?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. My name is Bill Masiello. I moved into town in 2020. My wife and I have two boys that are they live in a group home, not in town, but elsewhere, and we take them home on the weekends. And I want to thank the first responders that we had. We had an emergency at my house, and they shut the Barlow's Landing Station down prior to that, and there was a response time. Had it been a little closer to us, we live near Cantonment and Pocasset line. Just a couple of minutes difference for us, really made a difference. Fortunately, the Heimlich maneuver worked with me and my son, but I'd never done it before. It could have gone the other way, but I just want to thank everybody for pushing this ahead. And where I live in town, if there's something the community can do to help support whatever you decide for a property, and I'm really glad to hear that Shore Road property sounds incredible. The only question I would have is, you talked about habitat. Is there any type of wetland overlap, riverfront, that would prohibit you from building on that property that might make it difficult for you? If the soils are adequate for construction of a new structure, and as long as you're not in some kind of wetlands protection district.
I think that's going to be part of our due diligence.
Okay.
On checking out the.
Okay, so it hasn't been done yet. Okay.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
All right.
Not up to date, at least.
It's the only question I had.
Yeah.
But thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have a motion? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Make a motion, we move forward.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Carol, if you're on, would you please raise your hand? Okay. We'll take a roll call vote. Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Peter Lindbergh,
Yes.
Peter Meyer,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Sampson, yes. Rob,
Yes.
Chief,
Yes.
and Dusty.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think the first step is to meet with the Conservation Commission. So Wayne, I will get some potential dates from them and let you know. And let the OPM and the architect know. And we can maybe have a meeting before we go talk to the Concom about what we're going to tell them.
Okay. When do they usually meet?
I think they usually meet on Thursdays, or Tuesdays, I don't know. I will get
Okay.
some dates. I'm not gonna guess.
Okay, so we'll talk to them, feel them out, see what their concerns are, their
Yeah.
interest.
Yes, but this group should probably meet before then to prepare
Okay,
a presentation to the Conservation Commission.
all right. And Rick will be directly involved in that?
Rick and Mark, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, will be part of that.
good.
MJ has her hand up.
MJ, yes.
Yeah, could you just state what the motion was? I didn't hear what the motion was.
To approve,
To approve and move forward.
to approve and move forward on Shore Drive,
Yeah, Shore Road property.
Shore Road property.
Thank you.
Share the motion. Okay. Letter B, abandon and discontinue a portion of Thomas Philbrook Road in front of the existing monument station?
Well, if you voted to move forward with A, I'm not sure that there's any value in talking about B or C, unless you don't want to move forward with A.
I think we already took our vote.
I just got a question. So while we look at this land, is it feasible to look at other vacant land that's possibly buildable, just to have in our pocket in case this falls through? That way we're not starting from scratch again.
Well, we just did the RFP, and
Well,
we only have one. We'd
I don't know
have
how-
to put out the RFP again.
yeah, well, I don't know if the town, like the RFPs, not everybody's aware of them, so I don't know if we can approach landowners and say, we're looking to purchase land, rather than waiting for responses.
So we can't reach out. People have to respond to the publicly advertised bid. We can let people know that the RFP is available, but we can't reach out to any particular landowners.
Okay, well, that answers that.
It's a legal situation.
On that same sort of discussion, would it hurt if we consider building a smaller station down over on the Dr. Julius Kelly land if we end up acquiring it? And the reason why I'm saying that is yes, the level of service for Katomet and that little end of Bacasset, can go a long way. I know you would have to put a lieutenant, and you have to put two firemen, paramedics, or EMTs down there to cover the station throughout. But I don't. What time? You never know what's going to be the perfect timing. Things could go by quick, or they can go by. It takes forever. And if you end up building that smaller station down there, at least for the time being, you'll have the southern end of that core area service, and then Wyoming Beach is up there, so it can deal with the intent up to the northern part of that district, because it's getting more people are coming to the Upper Cape, especially with COVID over now, and I guess, and once the bridge construction starts, it's a whole different ballgame. But public safety should be the furthest and the first priority in this town. Period. That we can give back to our residents and property owners.
Are you saying in addition to the shore road?
Yes. Well, I know. Yes, because in the short term, we don't know how long before Shore Road is ever built, and so this will take the stress off of the Mo Beach station, which isn't the best scenario, and maybe by having a main station on Shore Road and a small substation down on the other side of the district. I know you may be talking a little bit more money now, but public safety may be better for it long term because you never have enough. It's just food for thought. You can tell me I'm full of it and tell me then that.
Trust me, I'm gonna. You'll always have that cost. What I'm saying is you gotta maintain, build that building, staff it, build another station over here, staff that. To staff a station like that, what would it cost just for manpower?
To staff a station like that, one would need 12 additional people.
So
Minimum of 3 per
12
shift.
salaries plus the building, you're talking a large expense.
Yeah, well, the
You
12
get
men,
people,
the 12.
And your response time from the new location that we're trying at the ball field to there, what are you adding, 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
Hey,
It's
I'm-
just, cost prohibitive. We gotta cut back at some point here in life.
Oh, I understand, and that's why we have these discussions to see if they're realistic or not, or these are just pie in the sky. And the 12 additional staff members is a non-starter right in any world right now. But I'm just trying to think of, I'm just thinking of public safety being what it is. They should always be the last to be cut and be the first to be added because of you know, what they bring back to the community.
First of all, to hear a selectman want to build a second fire station when we can't even build the first one, I applaud you for that, thank you. Were you talking a regular station, or you talking temporary till this is built?
Well, if you're gonna
Or-
build something, you're gonna try to, you know, or maybe up the road, that becomes your call station, you know, but I was just
Pete,
trying.
we don't have there's really no call station anymore. We have a small call contingent
Yeah.
of 10 people. They live on the north side. It's not like it was
Not
20,
like the old
30 years
days when we
ago.
had 50 to 60
Yeah,
guys.
it's not,
Yeah.
that doesn't work anymore.
That's how it was all made up.
I'll put my foot in my mouth, you know,
No, you
before I get
No,
more.
I think I thought it, you know, sounds like a great idea, but if you have 3 or 4 or 5 acres on Shore Road, and that's gonna be designed for 100 years and, you know, built for maybe 12 guys out of it someday, instead of, and I'm not opposed, but instead of having 2 stations, and then you got maintenance and all that 50 years down the road.
So, my only thought is that it's outside the scope of our charter.
Correct.
The existing charter of why we got started. I mean, if town officials want to make a policy decision and would like us to get involved, I think we need to change the charter.
Well, not the charter, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The scope of the
Our
committee.
scope of,
The committee, I know, I'm
This
just,
is our current mission.
right.
I know.
I do remember that in the beginning, we did have, very early stages, there was a lot of discussion on a 1 versus 2 station model. And I remember the early committees and through the town, it was voted a 1 station model was the path we should follow.
Wayne has,
I'm sorry, yes, sir.
What is the nature of that track north of the ball field in Shore Road? Is it forested?
It is forested.
Yes.
Yes.
And how far away would the fire station be from the closest homes?
None of that has been laid out.
We have not done any physical research or planning for that lot yet.
There's no subdivision bordering the...
Oh, no, not at all,
Or anything like that?
no.
Thank you.
All right. Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
does the committee want to hold a town meeting article?
I would
I would recommend it.
yes, I would say so, yeah.
make a motion that we ask for
Yes.
a place saver for a article for the annual or special town meeting in May.
Need a vote on that, Wayne?
Do you need a vote?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
That's my motion.
Okay, good. So, Peter, you're making a motion to reserve an article for the town meeting.
For the annual or special town meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, Scott? I'm sorry.
We're gonna make a
Okay,
motion.
we have a motion. It is seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none. All those, we're going to take a roll call vote, just in case she's on. Scott?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes,
Peter?
Yes?
Kyle?
Yes.
Me, yes. Rob?
Yes.
Chief?
Yes.
And Dusty?
Yes.
Unanimous? Okay. Do you need anything else to go forward in the process at this time?
Nope, I will get you dates for the Conservation Commission, and I will hold an article for the committee on the warrant.
Okay. And we should plan to have a planning meeting prior to our meeting with the Conservation Commission?
Yes, you're gonna need to figure out what you wanna tell them.
Okay. You can handle that?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I see no discussion. Scott?
Yes.
Peter?
yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Me, yes. Rob?
Yes.
And Chief?
Yes.
Dusty?
Yes.
And Carol, you're not on, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.